Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Arc Logos podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Anita Pinto Young, and with me today, our co host.
Rose Tibere.
And Sherelle Wilson Morrison.
Right. So today we have a special guest, people. Today with us, we have Jared Johnson. And I'm going to let you introduce yourself, Jared, and say a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Okay. So yeah, I'm Jared Johnson. Come from Gloucester originally. Working in London. Came up here when I was 21. Social work, business, and all of the above. Really, like I just do me. I'm a God-fearing person, and yeah, we'll get into it in the interview.
Thanks, Jared. And yeah, so today our focus is on career, business, success from a male perspective. So as you all would notice, there's a lot of female energy in here, too much with some people. So we thought, let's break it up a bit, get the perspective of a male in social work and just find out, about his perspective. So Jared, we're going to ask you about your career journey. So tell us, when did you decide to become a social worker? What made you want to become a social worker?
I feel as though that my answer changes a lot of the time, to be honest with you.
All right.
And I think that social work for me was something that picked me rather than me pick social work. And I suppose the reason why I say that, my mum's a social worker. I've got aunties who are social workers. So I feel as though I come from like a social worker family, cousins who are social workers. So it's a big family of social workers. But even things like being in school and like seeing that child that that maybe have like learning disabilities, you don't know it back then, but when you grow older, you know that okay, there was something wrong with that child, or that child that smells like not too right with you in school. You're like, that person smells, but as an older person, okay, they were going through some stuff, and obviously maybe social services was involved. We didn't know as children, but I know that now that was probably the case. And to kind of try and not befriend that person, but not join the crowd in terms of like jumping and bullying onto that person. And I suppose it starts with that because advocacy is a big part of our role in social work. So I think it starts from there. Listen to my mum with like coming home at 8 o'clock, and I'm thinking, Mum, where have you been? Like I've been home since 3:30, and where have you been? Do you know what I mean? But then, she's doing child protection visits and she's doing all the rest of it. So I think that's where it starts really. Went into school, never really knew what I was going to do up until the age of 16. Went to college, was good in college. Didn't really do anything. I did what they call a fly-by course, which is a course where you just don't have to do anything. It's not really serious. You just go onto the course. It was a music course. So I just did the course. And that was it. That was an experience. I think it only really got serious when I did my access course and I said, okay, let me just go into social work, and that's really what I'm trying to do.
Wow.
So that, yeah.
So it sounds like you were quite empathetic from a young age.
I think so.
Music, did you do an instrument?
I didn't do an instrument.
But you sing?
I sang, yeah.
We have a rule on the show,
we do.
that whoever comes on has to sing.
Yeah.
Are you going to sing first?
Look at Jared starting like,
Are you going to sing first?
No, not today. You're the guest, but it's fine. We'll leave you alone.
Yeah.
People pay to hear me sing, man. I don't know about all of this. Like,
Wow. So you're going to sing then?
where's the money?
Okay. That's fine. That's fine. We'll leave it alone for today. So access to social work.
Yeah.
Where and what after that? What was the next step?
So I did my access course. That started in 2014. 2015, I decided to come to London, which is quite typical from people from Gloucester to go to a bigger city. Gloucester's quite a small place. To go to a bigger city, Birmingham, Bristol, London, and just go and study and see what's out there in the big world. Come to London, went to the University of West London. Thought I was going to Brunel. and I had my interview and everything was good, and then they told me that I needed higher grades than I needed, so it was a little bit like, I don't know what to do now. And then I got through clearing in University of West London. Did my 3 years. It had its challenges in terms of placement, and what I thought I was going to experience in comparison to what I did experience. But no, it was definitely a good time.
Okay. If you don't mind talking us a little bit through sort of your university journey, what that was like, and if you feel comfortable talking about some of the challenges.
Yeah, I think starting off at university and going into placements, I think being quite open about my religion, I think people had preconceived ideas about what I think rather than asking me about what I think. So typically the things that come up and that are present kind of now is people who transition into different sexes, people who are in same-sex relationships. And I think people maybe had some preconceived ideas about what I thought about that. More on top of that, in terms, I've got dyslexia, so it was quite difficult to do some assignments at times. Didn't really get as much support as maybe I should. But at the same time, it was good. It was good to be through that experience and go through that kind of struggle, and know that, look, I'm going through this struggle now, and when I get into the working world, actually it's going to be more difficult because the working world is a lot faster. And when you're in university, people are a lot, people do help. Do you know what I mean? You get somebody that comes over and says, Jared, are you okay with this assignment? But in the working world, we have managers, and it's, have you done this section 47? Have you done this? Have you done that? And less of like the nurturing kind of side to it. So that was my journey in uni, and also being away from home because it was a difficult time. In terms, there was some family stuff that was going on. My mum got diagnosed with cancer.
Sorry to hear.
But she's a survivor.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yay, do you know what I mean? That's a
Yes.
good thing.
Good job.
So there was a lot going on at the time for me. But I also think that it was good in terms of like me building my resilience for my own self. And me just living on my own and being 21 and young and just doing my own thing. It was difficult, but it was good. It was good.
And as you know, we're an emotional wellbeing podcast. So I just wanted to kind of get a sense of, it sounded like a really difficult time that he was going through. What were the things that you were doing to kind of keep resilient, I would say?
I went home a lot, to
Okay.
be honest with you, and that was a good start. And going home and seeing family, and just being around them, it's not necessarily always calling them or always being there. It's just knowing that they are there, which was very supportive. I play football a lot.
Okay.
Which
Which position, sorry?
Centre mid, anywhere. I'm a baller. I'm a baller.
I used to be a striker.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So, like just different things like that. I'll go to church. That was good. And obviously I was singing in praise and worship. And I was very, very much involved. So it was good. I met a couple of friends that were also believers, Adventists at the time. So it was really helpful to me to be in that environment and to be around people who kind of took me in and said, oh, this is a good young man. Oh, yeah, like we check for him and we look after him, and that's cool. So, that was
nice.
good.
So it's just developing that social network and that supportive network in London.
Yeah.
Was it your first time in London, or had you been before?
My first time in London was being on my own was really bad, actually. I didn't have anywhere to stay.
Oh.
I was in Victoria, and my interview for my social work degree was the next day. And I remember being in Victoria and thinking, why are these people going so fast? Like, where are they all going? Why is it so fast? And it was just a bit crazy. And I thought, well, okay, let me just make a few phone calls. I know a few people. I managed to stay at someone's house and everything was okay. But in terms of living in London, that was the first time.
Okay.
That was the first time.
That sounds wild. So coming to London for an interview the next day and not even being sure where you're going to stay.
I didn't know I was going to stay.
You are adventurous.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Sherelle asked a question about what are the things that help the university. And it sounds like in spite of the dyslexia, the challenges you got through, and then you came into social work. So tell us a little bit about, maybe not so much placements, but your first year in practice. What was that like?
That's an interesting question because started off in plastics and I found it quite difficult, to be honest with you, because my mum, a social worker, as I've said, said, Jared, listen, don't say much. Just get through it.
Just shut your mouth, Jared. Shut your mouth.
Just shut your mouth and don't say nothing.
much, yeah.
But I've never been that person. It's very difficult for me to just not say anything.
Yeah.
And just kind of get through the situation. So I was thinking, why would I do that? Because from I was younger, you told me, like, if teachers even speak to me a certain way, like, I should say, like, you can't talk to me like that. That's rude. So she's saying, no, just don't say nothing. Just let it go. And on my first day, the service manager told me that she was going to leave. 2 weeks later, my manager told me that she's going to leave.
Wow.
And then 3 months later, I had another manager say that they're going to leave. So within 3 months, 4 months, I had 3 managers and a service manager change. So it was a lot of changes quite quickly. And I didn't really understand what was going on, to be honest with you. I'm thinking, okay, is this how it works when they talk about high turnover of staff, or is this how social work's supposed to be? But it was good. Like, we had our practice learning sessions. And I didn't even say much in there because
You kept quiet.
because I was quite conscious, you know, that Jared, don't say too much. That's kind of always been the thing from my mum. And obviously I'm gonna listen to her because she's done social work. So I'm not gonna be drawn out into certain conversations or, you know, I'm just gonna say, okay, we'll just let it go. I did get a manager who was consistent. I don't think she was the best manager for me.
Okay.
She did teach me some things that I can say that I probably moving forward, like even being a manager now, that I've worked with. But it just didn't work. It just didn't really connect.
Yeah.
It wasn't really it, to be honest with you. It was okay. I mean, I got through it.
She wasn't a fit.
So what was it then that helped you through? Because you successfully got through it. What was it that helped you?
I think the things that helped me get through is just knowing that first of all that I could get through it. Yeah. I think that there are a lot of times where people come into these conundrums in your head about self-doubt, and that's one of the things that can kind of take over. You know, if me and you are speaking in a room and you've got an hour with me, you've only got an hour to kind of put that self-doubt on me. But if I'm putting the self-doubt on myself, that's with me every single step of the way.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? So I think I was quite strong in saying, no, I can't get through it. No, I can't do it. Even though my manager is not the person that I would want it to be, and I like the previous manager and this and that, that wasn't really important to me at the time. I learnt on the experience of my mum, to be honest with you.
Nice.
I learnt on the experience of Anita as well. I would say I learnt on her experience as well, because I would have conversations to say, okay, I'm struggling with this. And she would say, okay, have you tried this? And have you brought that conversation? I can't really do this and that because it's too technical. Do you know what I mean? So I felt as though I had a support system. And I had people like in the ASYE group that were going through the same thing. And some people that felt that their managers weren't really supportive of them, or they weren't really doing the work that they should have been, or they don't really understand. But like being in practice now, I understand that you're only at the start of a journey. So you're not expected to know everything. Although it would be good, it'd be great if you did know everything, but you don't. You just don't. That's just not the job.
Yeah. So you mentioned you're a manager. So congratulations. How did you? Yes.
I know.
Indeed.
I know.
How did you progress up to that level?
I started in Croydon. I did my I was in adolescent safeguarding team. And I felt as though I was exposed to quite a lot, which I'm thankful for, because I say to myself that if you're exposed to some stuff, even though it's not great that you're thrown in the deep end,
Yeah.
if you swim, you learn a lot.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, absolutely.
If you
Yes.
sink, you're in problem.
Yes.
Yes.
And I felt as though I swam, so
Yeah.
it was really good for me to kind of be in that situation.
Yes.
I went to another local authority, same adolescents, where I almost felt as though I was the best social worker.
Ooh,
Okay.
wow.
And that was only after 18 months, but that was because of the experience that I had in Croydon.
Okay.
And I just went from post to post, kind of applying for jobs that probably I shouldn't have even gone for.
Wow.
I just put myself out there and said, this
Good
is
for
my
you.
CV,
Yeah.
get me an interview and I
Yeah.
can get the job. And I believe in myself.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so I went from local authority. I went agency
Okay.
because I felt like that suited me at the time. And the money was good.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
So, in spite of having a difficult university
Mm.
experience, a difficult first year in social work, you moved on. And I like what you said about you applied for jobs that you shouldn't even have applied for. Explain that a bit more, Jared. What do you mean by that?
I feel as though as a male in social work, you're at an advantage. The reason why is because there are a lot of females in the
Yes.
in the social work industry. So if I'm a man, I'm more likely to get a manager's position, and I play into that because
Oh my
that benefits me and that suits me, and I say that boldly because I have to use what I have in order to get me to the place that I want to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I didn't use that, I'd be a bit daft and a bit stupid. So that's what I did. That's what I did. I used that to my advantage.
People sort of expect men to lead, don't they?
They do actually, and I'm glad that you're mentioning this because I've heard it from some other male social workers who've said that with men it's a lot easier than women to advance into management. So I'm glad that you took advantage of that.
100%.
Oh,
Yeah.
well done.
I love the honesty. Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
But it's true though. I know other social workers that I would say that are better than me in practice. They're sharper than me, and you get people like that. It's no odds to say that someone's not better than you, but they just might be a little bit sharper than you. They've got a little bit more about legislation, or they might have a little bit more court experience. But that's fine to me. I still applied for the job, and then I just got the job. And that's just me.
Yeah.
That's interesting because it just shows that with women, sometimes we undersell ourselves a lot.
I think so.
And when it comes to men, I mean, it's been proven by research that men are just, like you said, very confident. They will say it. Once they have their mind set on something, they're going for it. Whereas we feel like, we just undersell ourselves. We don't want to come across as being, when we actually are.
But for yourself.
I'm for all of us. I'm speaking for all
Speak
of
for
us in this
yourself.
room. And no, thank you for sharing that because it's a gentle reminder that
joking.
we are, like, we deserve to be in these spaces as well.
So you mentioned learning from some of your managers. What else, helped you on that journey of management? What would you say?
I think having tough managers has helped me on my journey of management because in management now and dealing with like performance issues,
Yes.
didn't really think about that before I went into management. I thought about, I'll just look at the data. Yeah, that's gravy. Done. That's what I thought it was going to be. But it's more about performance issues. I had someone coming to me about taking overdoses. I had people coming to me about personal issues. And I'm thinking, this is harder than social work. Do you know what I mean? So what am I going to do? Do you know what I mean? But speaking to even senior managers, when I started with my management stuff, it was helpful. Do you know what I mean? Speaking to people who said, well, Jared, it's not just about, getting the best performance out of someone, in that moment. Maybe it's a thing that you have to look over a long period of distance and say, can you get them to that position in 6 months' time?
Wow.
You don't have to get them to that position right now.
Wow.
Can you do it in 6 months' time? Can you do it in a year's time? What's their journey? What's their process? And I think that's really supported with the management. But just going into why I even became a manager is because my mum was an advanced practitioner. And I said to myself, I need to be a team manager because I believe that children should go past their parents. I don't believe that children should kind of sit in just under their parents or at the same level.
Yeah.
Go past your parents, because you know, and being black, to be honest with you, you're going through a struggle already.
Yes.
So go past your parents, do what you can. You know, if your mum is 5 figures, try be 6. That's how I see it.
Is it that mentality of, you know, I'm a black male, I've got to be 10 times better than others as well?
Sometimes. But then a lot of social workers, especially in London, you're going to social workers, and on the floor, in terms of social workers and those that are doing the frontline stuff, a lot of people are black.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
But then the directors, they're not.
Yeah.
So what happens there? That's another conversation. I don't know what happens there.
What happens there, Jared?
I don't know what happens there.
Jared said he doesn't know. What happens?
You have to tell me. I don't know. But I think that I had my plan before I come into social work. They helped me with the plan. Said, "What's your 5-year plan?" I said, "All right. I want to be a manager." And I was within 5 years.
Wow.
I was a deputy team manager.
Wow. He
Yeah,
did his 5 years.
5 years.
Yes. 5 years. Yeah. Okay, so what next?
That's the problem.
Well, we'll hold that thought, because Jared has now set up a company called SHYP Limited. And so it's nice for us to get into that. So tell us a little bit about your company. How did you come up with the idea? What is it about? Because he's a director of a company, guys. Like,
That's
not
what's
just
next then.
That's well.
I'm trying.
Well, you're surpassing your mom. Go on.
So SHYP started in 2019, and I said to my mum, "Look, you're doing fostering, you're doing a few assessments, but forget that. Just focus on a semi-independent." I placed a young person in semi-independent. I looked at the money that they
cost,
were getting.
yes.
And I said,
Yeah.
"No, come on, stop this. Mum, go and set up a semi-independent and I'll support you." But I kind of took a backward step on it, which I don't know. My mum probably feels a little bit uncomfortable with, because she's like, "This is supposed to be me and you." But now it's a her thing, like it's her baby. But SHYP was started in 2019. We kind of had some ethics and values that we wanted to put out there quite quickly. And being on the other end of social work, you kind of understand that those ethics and values need to be in place. For example, we spoke about not giving up on young people. And that means that we don't terminate placements.
Wow.
We don't terminate placements.
Wow.
Wow.
Talk
But everyone's
of-
nodding their head
powerful.
because they know
Yeah.
you've been that
It's
social worker
hard.
when someone
Yeah,
terminates the
it's
placement,
hard.
it's
It
long.
is hard.
hard.
It is
So
hard.
yeah, it's wrong.
But it does resonate with me, the fact that you're actually providing these young people with that secure base, that base that they need.
And
That
not giving up on them.
consistency.
Yeah.
Not giving up and giving them that sense of belonging. You're here to stay. You this is your, you know,
Wow.
This is your forever
further
home.
home.
Yeah.
We don't
Wow.
terminate placements.
That's amazing.
You know, that's one of the biggest things. And because these young people, before they come into our care, it's very up and down. Very all over the place. They might have been with their aunt for a few days. They might be with this person, that person, that person. We don't terminate placements.
Wow.
And what have you seen, you know, in terms of not terminating and providing that consistency? What have you seen? What has been the impact of that on the young people you work with?
I think with the first young person that we had, she didn't really understand it. And I think there was a bit of self-sabotage. We know that happens all the time in social work.
Yes.
But there was a lot of self-sabotage. And what we did, we just said with her, "Look, we're not going to end your placement. So you do whatever you want to do.
Wow.
You want to go missing, we report you missing. We do what we have to do.
Yeah.
If you want to run off this place, or you want to badmouth staff, or F this, we don't care.
Wow.
We're not going to terminate your placement."
Wow.
And I think she was a bit shocked by it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because most placements would be like, "No, I'm not dealing with this.
Yeah.
I'm not doing this." But I think in the end, it worked out better for her.
Yeah.
She's in her own place now.
Look at that.
I'm not saying that she's doing amazing,
Yeah.
but at least she's had a secure base for the year and a half that she was with us.
Yeah.
So, you know,
until
it was quite
until
good.
independence.
Until independence, yeah.
Wow.
And roughly, how long did you have her for?
About 18 months.
Wow.
Wow.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Because initially, when you spoke about starting the company, you made it sound quite flippant. Where you said to your mom, "Go and do this," and you mentioned how much money it costs. But then listening to the value you have around it, where you actually will say, "We're not ending a placement." Like I've never met.
Never.
I've never met
never.
any kind of accommodation that has that as an ethos. Like young people start to kick off. But what was it about? What was it about that was so important for you? Which and you said it already, isn't it? That young people have been through so much. But what are some of the other things and values that underpin things like that for you? Like, what is the driving force?
I think I understand what it's like to be that social worker in that position, that you have to move a young person on a Friday
Yep. At 4:45.
at 4:45.
Yeah.
I know what it's like to be that social worker, but it was more around the journey for these young people. So what we decided to do is go into like supporting asylum seekers and understanding their journey coming from wherever they were coming from. We've got young people coming from all kinds of different places all over the world. And we said, they haven't had a good life. So how are we going to give them at least some stability?
Yeah.
Even if that's 2 years, if that's a year and a half, or if that's a year, how are we going to give them stability and how are we going to support them? How are we going to help them to learn English?
Wow.
How are we going to help them to... and that's something that you need every day,
Yeah.
you know, and we kind of take it for granted because we're in England and we speak English,
Yeah.
but they don't.
Wow.
So their
That
lived
is-
experience is not great, to be honest with you.
So that is huge in terms of it's not just accommodation then, it's a lot more added value to
Yeah.
just providing them accommodation.
So within the team, we have a counsellor.
Yeah.
Within the team, we have somebody who teaches them English as well. So they go to their
Wow.
own
Yeah.
independent courses,
Yeah.
but then they come back and we have somebody who can teach them English. And we encourage English speaking in the
in the house.
Reason being is because you're in England. It's not to devalue what they have, but it's more about this is where you are right now.
Upskilling them.
Yeah.
And actually, the life outside is very difficult. So you're going to have to learn English. You're going to have to understand the systems. And that's just the way that we did it, just to support them and upskill them, really.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Full
sounds
package then.
Yeah, sounds really good. And you have a website. It's called SHYP, but it's spelled SHYP.
That's correct.
Does that mean something, Jared?
Supported housing for young people. You're testing me, but
Okay.
Yeah. So you have a website,
we have a website,
and if people want to reach out, they go to www.
shiponline.com.
Wow. Ship online, you know, like
That's actually really
like
good.
a ship with
Wow.
Noah's Ark, innit? So that's really good. And your mom, it sounds to me like your mom has been a constant thread throughout your career and life. Like you spoke about, you know, growing up, and at times your mom saying, speak up for yourself, don't let anybody. But in social work, she said, keep quiet. And it's interesting because earlier on you mentioned the word advocacy.
Yeah.
And I just kind of wonder, how did that work for you? Because, you know, it seems like you have values around advocacy. You were taught to speak up for yourself. How do you go through a whole year not speaking?
It's difficult. It's difficult, is the truth.
Yeah.
I feel as though, reflect on it, looking back on it, I probably should have spoke up for myself more. Because what was the worst that could happen? Is the truth. Is somebody gonna, I don't know, sack me on the spot? Probably not. Especially if I'm right. Why would there be any issue? I just felt as though at the time is that there were different characters within my team and within the service that, not that I'm like, I look back and think, oh, you're a wicked person or anything like that. I just think that it didn't work for me.
Yeah.
And I think that it didn't suit me at the time to stand up and say what I really thought, which was, you're not helping me by, I don't know, doing certain things, or you're not really supporting me. And on my journey, when I'm just starting, it would have been better to have
If you
that.
were like this. Okay. So, Jared, what I would ask you is, given your journey in social work to get to where you are now, and well done, by the way. I think you've done exceptionally well in terms of navigating social work, having those difficult experiences, making your 5-year plan, sticking to it, getting into management, and setting up a company with your mom. And if you, looking back, what advice would you give to other young people? Well, particularly young black men coming into social work. What advice would you give?
I think if you've got a dream, go for it. I think if you have plans for business, go for it. I think if you are in social work and you go agency, have a plan. I had a plan to buy a property and I did it.
Nice.
So just go for what you really believe in. Do you know what I mean? I don't think that you should hold back in terms of, you know, anything that you want to do. If you want to be a manager, just go for it. I mean, the worst that can happen is that you get told no.
Yeah.
And then you just go again. And then you might get told no. You gain your experience. Go to a MASH team. Go to a court team. Go to a lap team. Any team. Safeguarding. Try and see what you can do to get to the level that you want to be at. And then, you know, once you're satisfied with that, make a new 5-year plan.
Wow. And have you made a new 5-year plan?
I think I have made a new 5-year
Yes,
plan.
you have.
Oh,
I think I have.
okay. Yeah, it'd be interesting to find out in 5 years' time when we're having this conversation again. And you'll be saying, yeah, this is what it was and this is what I've done. It'd be good to kind of, I'm just being nosy.
I think the 5-year plan is probably surrounding coming out of local authority. Sorry, not SHYP.
No.
SHYP is the baby. SHYP will always be there.
Yes.
But I think that coming out of the local authority would be the best thing for me.
Yeah.
I think SHYP is kind of moving in a different direction in terms of looking at doing mother and baby units. Rather than just doing the 18 under 18s or 18 plus, which we're doing at the moment. And also for me, I need to do stuff outside of SHYP as well.
Okay.
So like I have my property now. I'm just trying to secure another deal that's going to give me more passive income. That's what I'm about doing. And if I can do more property, I can kind of link the two and then kind of make it happen in terms of giving SHYP my properties, which happens at the moment. So the property that I own, I rent that to SHYP.
Wow.
So you have to kind of try and make it all make sense for yourself. In the best way that you can, really.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And thinking long term in terms of financial freedom, I suppose, and sustainability. And I think sometimes in the black community, we're not always good at thinking about intergenerational wealth and what we leave for the next generation. Any final questions, ladies? We have 59 seconds.
I was just very interested in the financial side of things. Did you get a good financial advisor, or how did that come about, or was it all you in terms of?
I don't want to sound arrogant, but I think it's God given.
Wow.
To be honest with you, I don't see other people having the thoughts that I have.
Yes.
Especially like my friends and peers. But I'm a person that will also go and research and just go on YouTube and just say, okay, what's this, that, and the other? What does that mean? So there's a guy called Samuel Leeds, for example. And I'll go on YouTube and I'll listen to Samuel Leeds and I'll say, okay, how did he do this? How did he refinance? How did he get more money from a property than he put in? And there's all of these things that you're looking at and you're thinking, that makes sense. And that's going to help me financially, you know, and that's going to progress me moving forward. So I would say it's God-given, but I would also say that my mum's been supportive. And kind of I've been, because my mum used to do property as well, but I've been very like inquisitive and very thinking about, oh yeah, I could do that, or I could do this, or I have loads of ideas go through my head. I have a problem with doing stuff all the time. I procrastinate too much. But yeah, apart from that, I'm trying to do the best that I can.
Okay.
Nice.
So thank you so much, Jared, for joining us. It's been quite an insightful interview, hearing about your experience and remembering as well. I mean, having NQSWs coming through, it felt like having, you know, your social workers that you were grooming. And so seeing you, it makes me feel really proud to see the journey that you've been on. So thanks, everybody. We'll probably link the handles in the comment section with the information for your company and anything else you want us to share, Jared. So thanks, everybody. Please do like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.